If you wake up tired after a full night of sleep, something fundamental about the way you rest is broken. You feel it immediately. Your eyes open, but your mind doesn't. And the mistake almost everyone makes is this. They try to fix sleep by adding more of it. In this video, you'll understand why that doesn't work. You'll learn why some people wake up clear after fewer hours, while others feel drained no matter how long they stay in bed. And how Japanese sleep principles supported by neuroscience quietly reverse that pattern. No hacks, no supplements, no discipline games, just a few invisible signals that decide whether sleep restores you or slowly exhausts you. Once you see them, you'll stop chasing hours and start waking up clear. To understand what this really looks like, you need to look at someone who learned this the hard way. Chapter 1: The Cold Signal. Kenji wasn't always waking up clear. A few years ago, he did what most ambitious people do when progress matters more than recovery. He worked longer, slept what he thought was enough, and quietly ignored the mental fog that followed him into every morning. Today, he lives on the 18th floor of a modern high-rise in Tokyo, surrounded by clean lines, minimal furniture, and an environment where nothing feels accidental. When you step into his bedroom at night, something feels off at first. Not uncomfortable, but noticeably different from what most people would choose. It's cold, not hostile, not extreme, just cooler than what comfort culture tells you is ideal. That choice wasn't aesthetic. It came after exhaustion forced him to pay attention. Deep, restorative sleep only begins once your core body temperature drops, and neuroscience shows the brain needs a reduction of about 2 to 3 degrees Celsius before it can fully disengage. Most people block this process without realizing it, because warm rooms feel safe, familiar, and comforting. But biologically, warmth signals alertness. Cold, on the other hand, tells the nervous system that nothing is left to manage. Kenji stopped fighting biology and allowed it to do its work. And here's the question you shouldn't rush past. If your brain never receives a clear signal to shut down, why would it ever give you clarity in the morning? What looks like a small comfort choice may already be deciding how tomorrow feels. Still, temperature alone didn't solve everything. Chapter 2: Support over Comfort. When Kenji changed his sleep surface, it felt wrong for weeks, not because it was painful, but because it removed the softness his body had been compensating for. The mattress was firm, unforgiving, honest. In the West, comfort is marketed as softness, but the body experiences softness as instability when the spine is no longer properly supported. When alignment is off, the body keeps correcting itself throughout the night, creating micro-movements and micro-awakenings that you don't remember. But your nervous system does. That's how someone can sleep 8 hours and still wake up exhausted. Kenji realized that his body had never truly rested. It had simply been adjusting all night. Once stability replaced softness, that changed. Now take a moment with this thought. If your body spends the entire night searching for balance, when exactly is recovery supposed to happen? You might not wake up tired because you slept too little, but because your body never stopped working. And that realization pushed him toward a deeper change. Chapter 3: The Heat Before the Drop. Kenji didn't build his evening ritual through discipline or productivity advice. He arrived there after enough restless nights made the old way unsustainable. Now his evenings follow a simple, consistent rhythm. A hot bath, unrushed, non-negotiable. The water sits around 40 degrees Celsius, which sounds counterintuitive, until you understand how the body actually transitions into sleep. Sleep doesn't happen because the body is warm. It happens because the body cools down after warmth. After a hot bath, core temperature drops rapidly, and that drop sends a precise signal to the brain that the day is over. No stimulation, no scrolling, no negotiation, just physiology doing what it's designed to do. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people miss. Sleep doesn't begin when you lie down. It begins when your nervous system understands there is nothing left to react to. If your evenings blur into your nights, your body stays half awake until morning, and that creates the next problem. Chapter 4. Respecting fatigue. Kenji used to override tiredness the way many people do, with caffeine, screens, and constant stimulation. In Japan, he learned to see fatigue differently. Looking tired isn't weakness, it's evidence of effort. When fatigue is ignored, stress hormones remain elevated, and elevated cortisol directly interferes with melatonin production, fragmenting sleep long before the night even begins. Kenji stopped treating tiredness as an enemy and started treating it as information. The moment he did, his nervous system began to soften, long before his head touched the pillow. Ask yourself this honestly. What if the more you fight tiredness, the harder you make it for your body to rest? Fatigue isn't the problem, ignoring it is. And once that clicked, he stopped relying on nights alone for recovery. Chapter 5. Strategic Recovery. Kenji no longer chases perfect nights. Instead, he distributes recovery across his day, especially during periods of high demand. Short naps, around 20 minutes, became part of that system, long enough to reset focus and mood, but short enough to avoid disrupting rhythm. Research shows these brief recovery windows improve memory, emotional regulation, and cognitive performance, which is why they're culturally accepted in Japan as efficiency rather than laziness. By removing pressure from sleep, Kenji improved it, and pressure, more than anything else, quietly destroys rest. Here's the paradox most people resist. The more you demand perfect sleep, the worse it becomes. If recovery only happens at night, the system stays fragile, and one modern habit still threatens all of this. Chapter 6. The Quiet Hour. Kenji owns technology. It just doesn't follow him into the last hour of his day. Blue light delays melatonin, fast content keeps dopamine elevated, and a stimulated brain resists surrender. Studies consistently show that screen exposure before bed increases sleep latency, even when total sleep time remains unchanged. Kenji created a boundary: low light, minimal input, sometimes silence. His bed isn't entertainment, it's a threshold. Answer this honestly: what does your brain consume in the last hour before sleep? Because whatever it takes in there, it carries straight into the night. And one final detail decides how calm that night really becomes. Chapter 7. The Neck Never Lies. This was the last adjustment and the most underestimated. Kenji's pillow doesn't collapse under weight. It adapts while maintaining structure. Its purpose isn't comfort, but alignment. When the neck is misaligned, the body keeps moving. Movement leads to awakenings, and awakenings steal clarity. Proper cervical support dramatically reduces nighttime movement, which is why even small angles create massive consequences over 8 hours. Ask yourself this: if your neck fights gravity all night, why would your mind wake up clear? When alignment improved, mornings changed first. Chapter 8. The Real Secret. Kenji doesn't sleep more than you. He sleeps with intention. Cool air, stable support. Heat, then release. Respect for fatigue. Daytime recovery. Digital boundaries. Proper alignment. None of this is dramatic. But together, it creates clarity. And clarity, not ours, is the real goal. So now the question isn't whether this works. It's this: which single habit will you change tonight, so sleep finally starts working for you instead of against you? Don't answer quickly, because clarity always begins with one deliberate decision.